The next thing I want to talk to you about is group projects. I just want to discuss how effective they are. I am sure you think, how can I do a group project in an online class? I've done it for years. In my summer classes, I have the students do a group paper, and in my fall classes, I have students do a group presentation. With many being forced to do e-learning spring of 2020, students and instructors were able to utilize Blackboard Collaborate virtual classrooms. So doing a group project should be easy for instructors, and because Blackboard Collaborate is similar to a video call, second nature to most students. Also, another best practice that can be implemented in your online classes is to allow students to meet anytime in the virtual classroom to use for study groups. The next video is going to show you how I set up a group project.
So group projects. In one of my online classes, I have created a group project that I've done every semester. I think it's a really great way for students to be able to collaborate together. What I have noticed going into remote learning in spring of 2020 and talking to a lot of colleagues that had to go to remote workspaces from home, that being able to provide students the opportunity to work in a group in a virtual networking type environment will be very beneficial for them as they move into the job force. So I think it's a really good way to get our students comfortable doing group projects and working together when you have to work virtually. So let me just show you how I set it up for the students. I'm going to go into student view. Over on the left-hand side, I have a tab called Group Project. Now, I want you to know I do not open up this tab until the week that the group project is to start. My group projects last 2 weeks. I think a 1-week group project along with homework and reading chapters and staying up with everything would be a little too much for students. So I do make it a 2-week project for the students. But what you'll see, I'll click on it, is the first thing is the group project, and this is the project that they do. They do actually a paper for this project. But what you'll notice up here is that I give them within the 2 weeks certain days within that time period that they have to turn in different types of information to me. The reason that I do this is that if I just gave them the assignment and said, hey, turn it in 2 weeks, I think that students would wait till the last minute. No collaboration and communication would be happening. So I've purposely built it in that they are forced to collaborate with each other throughout the 2 weeks. So once they've done this, the rubrics is all right here. I also give them information that if I see that they are not communicating with the group, if I start to get emails from the students that they're not communicating after I've reached out to the student, that they'll just get a 0 for the project. I want to make that very clear, that they can't just pop in at the last minute, give a little bit of contribution, that they have to be involved in this whole exercise. The other thing that I do when it comes to a group project is I assign a group leader. That person also gets extra credit points for being the group leader because they're the ones who are going to really have to drive the communication piece of the project. And the other reason that I obtain a group leader is because if I go down to paper, it says project leader only. When I first started doing this group project, probably about 6 years ago, what I realized is that every student in the group felt that they needed to submit the paper. So I was getting 25 papers, and if there were 4 groups, I only needed to grade only 4 of those papers of the 25 that were coming in. So what I did was I built it so that the project leader is the only one who submits the groups. And when you create your groups, when you were learning how to create groups, you should have seen that you can do it so that when you grade that one paper, that everybody in that group receives the same grade. However, another best practice that I do for my projects online is I do what is called a group evaluation. And the reason that I do a group evaluation is because, again, I'm not in the classroom with the students watching them work or talking to them face to face and so forth and really seeing how the collaboration is working with them. So I allow the students to do a group evaluation of their groups, and based on their information will also help determine what grade that student receives. So if the student out of 80 points, the whole group gets 75 points, it was a great paper and so forth. But I go back and I read the group evaluations and I see that one student really wasn't participating, didn't come to the meetings, really turned in their whole, their part of the paper at 11 o'clock the night before it was due. At that point, then I would take points off so that the student received the fair grade that they deserve compared to the students that were involved the whole entire time. So I think that's a good best practice. So it's very easy if you do not know how to set up a group. It's one of those things you definitely want to practice on before you launch it out to your group to make sure it's happening. So when I go back to my group, my view, I can show you that when I hit group project starts here, it's just the assignment in the link. So that's really not the point in my project. What is this part. It says select group here. So when I get to this select group here, I can see in this specific class, there were 3 groups of people. This person in group 2, I actually moved to a different group. When I had done this was last fall, but the groups are here. When I do this, I do a very similar group project in my face-to-face classes. I usually have 5 groups of 4 people. I let the students enroll themselves in their group, and the reason that I do that is because I think that by the time my group project starts, it's around week 8. The students have been doing discussions with each other. They've been emailing each other. They have a sense of who each person is out in the online world, and I let them then choose who they'd like to do. I found that has been the best way to do group projects. Again, I think group projects are great. You can do collaboration and so forth with them. So this is a paper version. Moving forward, what I want to show you, and I'm going to actually be doing this in my Principles of Marketing class this summer. I just haven't set it up yet, but I want to show you just a regular face-to-face class, moving remote, and what I did for them. So when we moved remote in 2020, it happened to be right around the time that I do group projects. And they had, in a lot of my face-to-face classes, like I'm sure in many of yours, it was a PowerPoint presentation. So I sat back and I thought to myself, how are the students going to do this? Well, I knew how they were going to do it. They were going to do it in their virtual classroom. So I want to show you, if you've never set up a virtual classroom, the easy way to do it is you go to this plus sign here. You go to Tool Link. You click on that. You then go to this drop down. Go to Blackboard Collaborate Scheduling Manager. You click on that. You then type in virtual classroom or whatever you want to call it. I call it virtual classroom. I'm going to have 2 of them now because I've just created another one to show you this. It comes down to the bottom. As you'll see, it's not visible to the students. So you can keep it invisible until you want to open it or open it right away. You move it up so the students see it. Once I click on my virtual classroom, it comes here, and I just want to show you the several ways that you can have students be invited into the classroom. You can add a course link by clicking this, and you can go into, let's say I want to put this in course materials, and I want them to do their class project on Unit 8. So I do course materials. I can drop it down. I'm going to do it on Unit 8. I can go to my details. I can put in virtual classroom, for project. I always suggest clicking required so that students see that required button, and I think it mentally does something to them. If you want to do date restrictions, you can. I very rarely do date restrictions in my online classes. And again, Off subject of group projects, just another best practice. The reason that I do not do date restrictions and due dates and do units and have them open and close on Monday and Sunday is because of this. When I do that online class the next semester and I copy that class over from fall to spring, if I have due dates and I have restricted dates in there, I now have to go back in and change all of those dates again, versus having units that open on a Monday night at midnight and close on Sunday at 11:59. Those are the only date restrictions I ever have to go in and change in my online classes. It saves you as the instructor a heck of a lot of time if you build your classes like that. So anyway, back to this. I choose that, I hit save. And now if I go back to my course materials, if I go to Unit 8, what you'll see is that the students will now have...
Behavioral styles is a descriptive term that identifies...
What you'll see now is that the students have access to that virtual classroom. When I click on it, you're going to see we're going to go straight into our virtual classroom. It makes it easy for students to find. That's the whole goal, is making the class user-friendly for your students. Another thing that I do when I have my students go into a virtual classroom is I can go to invite guests. There's this link. I will copy the link and I will send out an announcement saying, hey, if you can't get into your Blackboard right now to go into our virtual classroom, here's a link and just click on this and it will take you straight into the classroom. Or let's say that I want to invite one specific student to have a meeting with me. I can do this here too. I can just enter their email address, send it to them. So wherever they are in the world, if they're not on a computer, they can always get on their phone through their email and meet me in that classroom. So again, this link is a really great way to do it as well. If I want to do a group project, one of the things that I have to do is, and I should have shown you what I did. Sorry, let me go back really quick. So I'm going to do a group project. They are going to be presenting their presentation to me. I currently, as the person in that virtual classroom, I'm the only moderator. The instructor is the only moderator. So I have to give the student access to be able to be a moderator, to share their screen, to present their project. So I go in here. These I stay the same. I can click all users to join as moderators, or what I would do is I would choose my group leaders and add them as moderators. So I would just click this. It takes this to my student classes. I click the 4 or 3 student leaders of the projects. I click them so that when they come into the classroom to present, they're already set up as moderators. They already can share their screen. They can mute the other people. They have full control. So again, this is the way to do it if you're going to have your class do PowerPoint presentations.
Just a few more ideas for you guys on what I think are some best practice ideas for creating an online course.
In my last video, I just want to talk a little bit about some best practices or items that I wish I had known a little better when I started designing my online classes and actually teaching them. The first thing I want to show you is about the properties. When we started talking about announcements, I explained to you that I allow my students to go into my classes a few days before the class actually starts so that they get a good feel about it and ask questions and really hit the ground running the day that class starts and not fall behind. So when you get your Blackboard shell, it is already set up that the class will not open until the day classes start. So I changed that. So when I do that is I go to, I should go back. I go to customization under my control panel. I hit properties and I come into this page. this is how you would make your course available early. I click yes, and then I can hit submit. I can also use this thing called use term availability. If I do that, though, again, that's going to start on the day the class starts, and that's going to end on the day the class ends. So I don't use that one. I could select dates. I could put a start date earlier. So for fall, I could maybe put, August 19th, I want it to open, and I'm going to close it the last day of finals. It's very important that you remember to also close your classes. So as of today, my classes are closed because finals were over on Thursday, and I don't want my students to have the ability to go back into my classes and maybe print things or get information that they might have to pass on to other students. That is one of those things that I think that online instructors need to remember, is to always shut your class down so that students can't get back into it in future uses. So that is how you start the course or close the course. Another thing that I want to show you is back to the communication is our course expectations. When you hit on this course information tab, I showed you the welcome video. You should have a welcome video. You should explain, and I'm going to go slow so that you can read this stuff. I explain information to them. The communication piece is very important, and it goes under this course information syllabus. This online course approach is actually should be already built into your class. The only thing that needs to be changed if you're doing a summer course is maybe it's an 8-week unit versus a 14-week unit. Summer is usually 10 to 20 hours, not 9 to 10. So those are just a couple little things that you need to change. But this is already built into your course, and it gives expectations of what's needed. When I hit course information and syllabus, this is really the communication piece for your students to understand exactly what the course is going to entail. You have your course description. This can be literally copied and pasted from the online course outline that you can get under course outlines, under curriculum in your portal. Your syllabus should be at the top, an online syllabus. Another, I don't do it in this class, but I do it in some of my other classes. I actually will do a weekly syllabus for the students as well, so they don't have to print out my whole entire syllabus. They can just do a weekly print if they would like. Then the course contact information. Again, this is imperative that you send this information to the students. And you can see this was for spring semester. It tells you, and I explained this when we were talking back in a different video, but it tells them again when I will respond to them. It tells them when my office hours are so that they can see me. If you're an adjunct professor and you choose to do an office hour, every Tuesday at 12, that's what should be here. I know that some adjuncts, your office hours fluctuate on when you are going to use that hour for that week. That's fine. Use your announcement. Say, hey, I'm going to be on campus on Monday, from 2 to 3. I'd love if you'd stop by, the adjunct office in my department and send that communication out so that the student wants to see you face to face. Because I'll tell you, I have a lot of online students who don't want to talk via email. They want to sit right next to me and have me go through different things with them in the online class. Again, here is your overall learning goals. The textbook that you're going to use for that semester. This course logistics is another way that we communicate what we're going to be providing the student. A 14 weeks course, 100% online. Here's my communication policy. I will do virtual office hours twice weekly. I have private office hours upon a request, or they could go up there. An instructor will respond within 24 hours. This needs to be in your class so that students know what their expectations are. This hardware and software, again, built into your class. You don't have to really change or do anything with that. Course navigation, I showed you part of my video. If you want to see my video, There's a YouTube link. Take a picture of that, type that in, and you can see the whole thing. Here's the weekly schedule of assignments. Now, like I said, sometimes I put it at the top so it's visually available for the students right when they come in here, but I also put it here. It's a roadmap. Again, remember, we're not, sometimes syllabuses change, and so again, and then I tell them what they're going to do all semester, so we'll just scroll through that. The next part that must be in your class for communication is your grading policy. I do not accept late assignments. I told them that in my video, and I again put it in writing. I then show the students there are videos, check assignment grades, how to submit some assignment. All of these are loaded into your course shell. Keep them there. Do not delete them so that students can access them and get them more used to taking your class. And then I give them tips to succeeding in class. Keeping up with the reading, keeping assignments done on time, start working on assignments right away, and so forth. I then give them their academic support resources. They can click on this link and go straight to academic resources, but I also print it out here because not everybody clicks. And then I do a syllabus review confirmation for the students, which is very important. One of the things also that is in here, and I'm trying to remember where it is it talks about the students' drop dates and when they need to drop the class for them to receive, here it is, attendance. This, according to the board policy, must be in your like in your online class so that students understand when they have to withdraw to receive their refunds back for class. So their registration and drop dates needs to be in here under attendance. So you could put that this little tidbit into your class. Okay, so that is one aspect of the communication that I wanted to talk about and show you that I do in my classes so that you can understand the importance of this communication to your students. Another thing that I want to show you or talk to you about, again, is the due dates. I've said over and over again that I open my classes on Monday nights at 11 and they're due at 11:59 on Sunday night. Some instructors do Tuesday, Wednesday. It's really up to you. But the best practice is that because your courses can be copied from one semester to the next, that when you do this, you go into you go into the arrow, you hit edit, you scroll down, and you can put your due dates right here for when your units are going to open and close, okay? And I show you that so that I can show you that when I go into my unit, you'll see that everything is open. Nothing is closed in here. Everything is open. The assignments are all there. I show my rubrics under here. Discussion boards are all open. Nothing has due dates, and I can go into any one of them. And nothing has due dates. And the reason is again, because the unit closes, students cannot go back and access these assignments. So they always know that their due date for their assignments, except for the discussion board, is due at 11:59. So I think that that's a really good, important thing to do. Another thing that I do in my discussion boards for students is this Any Questions tab. So I just created, it's just an Any Questions, please post any general questions that they can have. And when you click on it, and it's really for students that if I'm not there, they can go in and ask their peers for help. Another great way for students to communicate and for them to collaborate online together. What else? Over on your left-hand side bar, this Purdue Owl Writing, I actually put that into my class to help students with their writing. Blackboard Help is there for students to go on to be able to get actual different types of tutorials for students. You can use them too. There's our online academic support. And these are really some of the best practices that I have in my classes for my communication with my students. I hope those helped you out. I hope you got a better sense of creating a great online class. Thank you.
Just to finish up, I wanted to show this last article. Again, it is in the sources, but it's basically an article on communication basics. It talks about the tone that you should have when you are giving feedback to your students. It talks about etiquette with your students, proper etiquette, or what we call netiquette. How you set a communication policy for your class. And then the four most important communication tools in an online class, which is email, which we discussed, class announcements, discussion boards, and finally, feedback. So I just want to say good luck to you. I hope you use these tips to go out and deliver an amazing online class that provides the students lots of communication and several collaboration opportunities. If you have any questions, my contact information is Gretchen Reyes at triton.edu. I'm extension 3988, and you can always visit me when we get back to campus at F214 Office A. Thank you.